Hi, Chairman. So let me stop sharing that. There we go. Oh. Stop presenting. There we go. There we go. Right. I'm being told that it is going out live now.
Okay. All right. So good.
That sounds like positive. It sounds like we can carry on.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to ask everybody else back in then.
Yeah.
Just check that.
Yeah, I think Councillor McFarlane, Councillor Faddes are both still here. Yeah, I can remove that one. There we go. Yeah, sounds like everybody is still here. Our applicants are still here, so we're fine to carry on now.
Okay. Can we just can I just ask the two councillors just to turn their cameras on at all, just so we can check that we're all together. Good. Thank you. Ian, are you there at all? Just check.
Yes, I'm good, Chair. Thank you.
Good morning. Good. Okay. All right. I will then make a start. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good morning to councillors, officers and members of the public. Before moving on to the agenda items, I'll ask those councillors in attendance at today's meetings to introduce themselves, starting with myself. I'm Councillor Mark Goldsmith from Wilmslow, Weston Chorley. I'll ask the other two members to introduce themselves now, starting with Councillor Hazel Faddes.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, everybody. I'm Councillor Hazel Faddes from Crewe East.
Good morning, and now Councillor Ian McFarlane.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody. I'm Councillor Ian McFarlane, also from Wilmslow, Weston Chorley. Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, also present are the following officers of Cheshire East: Nashwan Fazlani, the legal officer. Are you there, Nash?
It looks like he might have dropped out. I'll just try bringing him back. Yeah, he's back in the meeting.
Okay. Nash, if you could just introduce yourself, that'd be great, please.
Oh, he is in. You're on mute now.
There.
Okay. Let's try getting him on Skype.
He's just dropped off again, I think. Yeah.
He's struggling to connect.
Okay, if we come back to Nash, I'll move on to Helen Davis, the Democratic Services Officer.
Thank you, Chairman.
Hello, Helen. Hi, Nash. You're in. We're seeing you. If you can just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm sorry about the connection issue. Thank you, Chairman. I'm Mr. Fazlani, legal officer. I do apologise for my connection issues this morning.
No problems. Good to have you with us, and hopefully you'll stay on with us. Okay, and observing the meeting today, we also have Stephen Medley-Daly from the legal department, who's just understudying and shadowing Nashwan at the moment.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. Good morning. So please note that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded, so best behaviour by everybody, please. We've all seen what bad behaviour looks like, so hopefully we won't repeat that. We now move on to item 2, declarations of interests. Are there any declarations of interest from the subcommittee members? I'll ask the members to indicate themselves, and I'll start with myself that I have no declarations of interest in this matter. Councillor Faddes.
No declarations of interest either.
Thank you. And Councillor McFarlane.
No declaration of interest from me, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you then. In that case, we move on to item 3, which is the application for a premises licence at Royal London House. I'll ask those in attendance for this item to introduce themselves. Firstly with Kim Evans, the licensing officer for Cheshire East.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Kim. And then with the applicants, I have Alison Lomas.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alison. Yeah, thank
Morning.
you. And do you have Faye Carter there as well? Yeah, I can see you at NFC.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning,
Good.
everybody.
Good morning with you. Okay, just to go through the procedure for the hearing, it will be a bit quicker than normal because we have no objectors in the hearing. So the licensing officer will basically summarise the application. The subcommittee, the councillors can ask questions of the licensing officer. We'll then ask the applicant to present their case, and then the subcommittee will ask questions of the applicant, and then you can applicant sum up their case. We'll then adjourn to decide on the application, and we'll notify you within 5 working days of what we decide later on this morning. When I call you to speak, if you would please switch on your camera and unmute your microphone. When you finish speaking, please could you switch them off? It does help with bandwidth. As we've seen, some people do struggle to get a decent connection, and it just helps smooth the process along with everybody. So I'll start the hearing and start by calling on Kim Evans to present and summarise the application. So over to you, Kim, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, you and your colleagues here today are to determine an application for a premises licence for Royal London House, Audley Park, Nether Alderley in Macclesfield. Mr. Chairman, the application has received an objection which has caused it to come before you this morning. In terms of the application procedure, Mr. Chairman, all of the necessary requirements were complied with and advertising was done as it should have been. The application itself is set out in full at Appendix 1 for you. There is a summary of what's applied for at paragraph 5.4 of the report, which just summarises the licensable activities and the hours applied for. Mr. Chairman, as I've said, there was one objection that was from the Parish Council. And is set out at Appendix 3. During the consultation period, there was some communication with the police, and the applicant has agreed to the conditions that were put forward. Those are at Appendix 2 for you in full. As you've confirmed, Mr. Chairman, the objector, is not here today. They've confirmed in writing that they will not be attending, and obviously the matter therefore needs to proceed for you to make a determination on the application.
Okay, thank you very much. In that case, I'll ask Councillor Faddes, do you have any questions at all?
No, I don't think so. Thank you, Kim. That was very. I've read through the paperwork. Yeah, it seems very clear. Thank you.
Councillor McFarlane, do you have any questions at all, Kim?
Yes, good morning, Kim. Yes, I was slightly confused looking through it on page 39. This may be one for the applicant, but on 39 it said that, I think this is from the applicant, the letter, it's obviously redacted a lot of it. We do not sell alcohol every day, it's only at functions which take place 2 to 3 times a year. Could you explain that a little bit more? I'm not sure what that actually means. I'm trying to get my head around that one.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just finding the page.
Page 39, sorry.
I think what they're referring to. No, go on, Kim. Yeah.
Sorry, I think that's what's happening is there's been like communication between the applicant and the police, perhaps for the police to sort of go into a bit more detail about what's the operation of the premises will be like, so that they can then decide whether they should object to the application or perhaps propose some additional conditions. So what that is, I think, and the applicant will probably correct me if I'm incorrect, but I think that's just the communication that's gone backwards and forwards between the police and the applicant.
Right, I understand.
It looks like, and I think the applicant will be able to confirm this, it looks like they, rather than have temporary event notices, they're looking for a license to cover the few events that they do hold. I'm reading that they don't hold many events, but they do occasionally, and maybe the licence covers this point. But I think that's something we can ask the applicants just to expand upon, really. Okay, in that case, I don't have any more questions of you, Kim, so we'll move over to onto the applicants, Alison Lomas and Faye Carter. If one of you can present your application and maybe just clarify the point we've just raised.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be glad to do so. I just want to cover the kinds of events that we do host, and as already stated, we don't host that many. They are predominantly quarterly business updates, followed with a barbecue meal and a couple of beverages. The latest those have been in Plato at 8 o'clock, where we have cleared the premises. We also have some award ceremonies that may have a celebratory one drink associated with the event, and we also have Christmas lunches, which obviously is annually. We have held an evening Christmas function a couple of times in the 30 years that we were at the Winslow estate, which was a marquee holding up to 750 people that did finish at 1 AM, which we had the appropriate licence in place for that one event, couple of events, sorry. In saying that, we don't intend to hold an event of that type at Alderley Park. We're looking to the Alderley Park Estates team to host that tour elsewhere on the huge estate, to which we were in dialogue prior to our move to Alderley Park in December, but obviously due to COVID-19 restrictions, such events aren't taking place anyway at present. I'd like to just mention that we don't have a permanent bar, that was quite rightly stated. For each event, we just put a temporary bar in place, which also supports we don't have any social club alcohol events during the working day. We do have an on-site restaurant that serves a lunch offering, all with soft drinks, and that restaurant holds up to 250 people at any one time. We also do have 24/7 security in place, and we link into the Alderley Park security team, work really closely together with them for our security provision anyway. But at any event, we always increase our security provision to predominantly to walk the perimeters and make sure everything's contained, and obviously our staff are adhering to our company code of conduct that we all have in our contracts and in place. I'd also like to say we do have the appropriate premises supervisor with a personal licence, and we operate the Challenge 25 policy, where the posters are clearly displayed and the staff serving alcohol are fully trained. There's also an appointed Royal London senior manager at the event, usually myself. I've worked for the company since 1997, and I have to say, touch wood, we've never had any issues with events, we've never involved the emergency services, and we do have a good relationship with the local community. Noted on the objections was around the parking, and I do understand the concerns with the local residents because there have been some parking issues with the leisure centre, but we have more than enough. We have just under 900 parking bays allocated towards the company and very near to our building, and we also operate a free shuttle service in between Winslow and Alderley Edge train stations, to which we extend this service whenever we hold an event to make sure that people get to where they need to be from a wellbeing point of view. We're also very mindful of our neighbours and any impacts we may create. We are a known brand in the marketplace, and our reputation is really important to us. And as an employee of Royal London, we all have a code of conduct to adhere to, whilst in the workplace and outside of the workplace. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That's great. I will go over to Councillor Faddes to ask if you have any questions at all.
Thank you, Faye, and thank you, Chair. You've answered some of my questions because I was going to ask about parking, but as you say, there's 900 spaces, and the most people you had was 750 at an event. That seems to cover that. Yeah, and I'm glad that you're mindful of residents that are local. I did look at the map and I couldn't quite see if there was any houses near to your premises. So I'm presuming there's just a few houses that are local to there. You say that you do lunches where you may have 250 people, but you're only serving soft drinks at the moment. I presume you may be serving alcohol now, and I'm also thinking that it's only for staff members and maybe their families. So it's not going to be sort of a free-for-all for everybody. I'm pleased that you've got the security and also have. I'm sorry, did you say you have CCTV that can be viewed in 28 days? But I'm presuming you have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McFarlane, do you have any questions at all?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, good morning, Faye. I'm just looking at the comments from Audley Parish Council concerning their worries with some residents who have obviously put these to them on the late night refreshment Monday to Saturday 2300 to 0100. Do you think they've got a justified case to ask for this to be considered, and perhaps if you're only having 2 to 3 functions a year, to be able to apply for TEN notices? Is that something which you think is reasonable from their side? Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'm finished speaking.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you can maybe want to come back on that, Faye. That question.
Certainly. So yes, we do have CCTV that's fully backed up. We have at least 30 days to review back on. Obviously, we've got controls and measures around circumstances of reviewing footage, and we only release to the police and insurers on that basis. But yes, we do have the coverage. And yes, it is staff members. It's not general public. We don't really, we've not invited families in either. Not that I'm saying that will never be, because we've moved to a fabulous estate, and we would like to perhaps over the weekend during the daytime invite families to see where their parents work and enjoy the estates, the greater and wider estate, as do the residents. And if I put myself in the resident's position and you look at the application, I suppose really if that is signed off, it's giving us authority or autonomy to have raves and flashing lights and discos, which, you know, it is not what we're about. We're a professional company. We predominantly hold awards and recognition, and as I say, quarterly business updates with a small celebration. We have no appetite to have, you know, a pub on site, as we've got the Churchill Gastro Pub, which is just actually in walking distance for us and the residents to utilise should someone want to have a beverage or meet up after work or even during lunchtime. But again, we don't promote daytime drinking whilst in the workplace unless there is an event, and as I say, we like to control what happens rather than people bring in their own. So we having the event going on later than 8 and 9 o'clock in the evening would be very, very rare or not at all. So I'm more than happy to apply on those occasions after, you know, a certain time, should we want to hold an event that takes us to the early hours. Does that answer everybody's questions?
Yes, that does. Maybe if I just clarify that you're happier to remove maybe the 1 o'clock application, because as we own admission, you'd say it is really very rarely used, and to have something finishing a bit earlier, maybe 11 o'clock, which would be a normal sort of licensing time.
More than happy with that.
Okay, if I can just pick up with Kim Evans, if that's acceptable.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant can offer changes to the application in light of the objections that are made. That's fine. And if you're happy to approve the licence on that basis, that's a matter that you can indeed take. Yeah.
Okay. I think that would reflect the concerns that have been written in by the parish council. I would say to Faye that one of the problems is that what's written down on the paper may not be what is going to happen in reality. Obviously, you're putting down what's the extremes of what you want, and then some people think that could be the norm. So therefore, that generates some concerns and things. But we must take that into account as well with things.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify for anybody, members of the public and indeed the applicants listening, obviously if they are going to be running some events under a temporary event notice, any conditions that you might have applied today, or any conditions that the police would have put forward, or indeed any conditions that form part of the operating schedule, would not apply to a temporary event notice automatically. So okay. Just for people to be aware of that.
So in those cases, there might be less protection for a 1 o'clock.
Indeed, yes.
Than if we were to reduce it. Okay.
I think that's sometimes why the police will advise. It probably not specific to this situation, but certainly where there are occasions where a premises is repeatedly using temporary event notices, the police will often, and indeed sometimes environmental health will ask them to apply for a premises license so that conditions can be applied, can control the situation rather than it just being run under a temporary event notice. Okay. So it swings and roundabouts, Mr. Chairman. It just depends what you think is appropriate.
Okay. All right then, Faye. We noticed that you're happy to reduce that. I think that's something we will discuss in the committee stage as well, and therefore we think we'll decide on which way is best really later on today. I don't have any more questions, so Faye, if you could just sort of perhaps sum up your application if you'd like before we call an end to the meeting.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'm probably going to repeat myself, but we, Royal London, would really like to have the premises licence in place so that we can control the alcohol distribution and consumption at any event held within their workplace, so that you know, we are a risk averse company, and we've got everybody's interests at heart, and that's why we have responsible people in place with specific roles at all of these events to make sure that they go well and people enjoy them and everybody stays safe. And as I said, our reputation is incredibly important to us. We are a brand out in the market, and we are also new to the Alderley Park site, and we are very mindful of our new neighbours and any impact that we may create. And obviously we want our relationship to be a positive one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Faye. As I say, it's a lot shorter than it is normally, and it's quite a bridge. So thank you for your participation in today's meeting. I will now we'll ask the subcommittee to stay behind, and we will make the decision. You will be notified of it within 5 working days. Please don't read anything into how long it takes. It's just really dependent on the workload of the officers. So thank you again for attending, and I'll now close today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.